Nzimande Mia is in Kempton Park where the meeting is underway. She joins us now live. Nzimande, good afternoon to you. So it's an important feedback session underway in terms of where they are in what has already been accomplished, but also in terms of what still needs to happen.
Yes, a very good morning to you, Natasha. This certainly will be a very important feedback session between the Department of Higher Education as well as the various stakeholders, specifically the Vice Chancellors of the different institutions, to talk really about how exactly the funding issue is going to be resolved, how it's going to be distributed for those students who are really the most needy of students. With me, joining me is the Deputy General of Higher Education, who's going to tell me some of the issues that came out of earlier's briefing. Thank you so much. What are some of the key issues that we're expected to hear about later this afternoon?
No, the Minister has been engaging with all stakeholders as well as individual organizations within the higher education sector with a view of understanding better as to what experiences each and every constituency is going through and what is their understanding of the issues that are panning out to be in the higher education sector. But most importantly also was the Minister wanting to give feedback in respect to the outcomes and recommendations of the Presidential Task Team insofar as various categories of issues that were entertained in the discussion there that were tabled later last year to the President, amongst of which was the question of a no-fee increase, the implications of that and what provision then government has made in respect to that. And indeed, a resolution has been taken from government that the funding in respect to that no fee increase is made available to the tune of 2.33 billion rands, as well as the question then of how do we approach registration this current year. And there are plans that have been put in place and communicated to all stakeholders as well as constituencies.
All right, DG, 2.33 billion rand is part of the larger 6.2 billion sum that was given by the Department of Higher Education to the various institutions. Has that money been physically given to the institutions? How is it going to be distributed across the various institutions?
No, that money has been made available already and is going to be distributed to the institution according to the basis of the norms and funding which the institutions have communicated to the department.
We spoke to some of the people at the Vice University earlier this week, and what they're concerned about, some of the students who are registering, is that in principle the money has been given and it seems as though the situation has been resolved, but they are still struggling with the logistics of getting the NSFAS money or getting the total money, or in terms of getting the money that the university is saying they will give them some sort of concessions on. How is that going to work realistically in terms of the money being given via the registration?
There is a communique that we have sent out to all institutions in respect to those monies that have been made available, and the students who are beneficiaries of those funds will be allowed to register without any hindrance in each and every institution. And that matter will also be hammered out in this meeting so that when the Vice Chancellors are going back, they know what government is making available, which is not an issue at all for discussion or second guessing. Money has been committed. All what is needed is to roll out registration in respect to those commitments from government.
We've seen that registration has been stopped at some institutions with some of the students protesting, and the Department of Higher Education has been vocal in terms of asking that the protests stop. What is the situation there? Have you received some sort of communication from the various students that have been protesting that they will stop what they protest and they will carry on with the negotiations between the various universities and the Department of Higher Education?
The feedback we've got from each and every institution is that they are actually dealing with this matter. In actual fact, it's not all institutions that had disruptions. In the main, it's institutions around Gauteng, that is Wits, UP in the main, and there were some disruptions at UJ as well. But those matters are being attended, and quite a number of issues have actually been resolved. One of the things that we spoke strongly against, which we think is grossly unfair, is to have parents and students who are coming from very far, Eastern Cape, UKZN, come to register here at VETS, and on their arrival, they are disrupted by a group of students, and they have to find accommodation and get into expenses that they never planned. So we're saying those activities and practices are not good for our country, and there must be nobody who is disrupted who wants to register. So any protest must be taken, conducted in an orderly fashion within the rules of the game.
DG, let's quickly talk about the issue of NSFAS and the methodology that they're using to give students money. There is a big issue with that. How is that going to be resolved? Is there going to be an overhaul of the system?
No, NSFAS is being awarded on the basis of the Act. And there is a means test which gets conducted. And what government has pronounced quite very clear is that all students who meet NSFAS means test should be allowed to register.
But there's some students who do not necessarily meet the means test, who have a single parent, and that parent has maybe got about 3 other children, and they cannot afford to send all 3 to university. And according to the means test, they are excluded from getting NSFAS. Is that an issue that's going to be looked at?
That is the question of the missing middle, of which NSFAS is working on it. The chairperson of the board of NSFAS has just given report to that in that respect, how far they have actually gone. But in respect to the meetings that we had with vice chancellors as well as registrars in November last year, all institutions have actually put plans in place for all categories of students. And they have assured us that none are going to be turned away or denied registration on the basis that they don't have money. There are plans that are put in place, and students have been directed to their respective offices in respect to them undertaking that exercise.
All right, thank you so much. That is the DG of Higher Education talking about the NSFAS means test and how the missing middle will be resolved in that issue, and how the funding issue will be distributed. And we are expecting that we'll get some feedback later today at 1 o'clock when the press conference happens. And we're expecting the Minister of Higher Education as well as the various Vice Chancellors from the universities to give the media feedback in terms of the discussions that they've been having from early on today. Natasha?
Nzimande, thank you very much. Our reporter Nzimande Mia live from Kempton Park, where that meeting is underway between higher education and the Vice Chancellors of Universities.